The world is shifting. The old rules are breaking. For years, one country led the world, made the choices, gave the orders. But now, something new is rising. BRICS is asking, what if the world doesn't need just one leader? What if the future belongs to many? Chapter 1. A World Divided. The world is changing. Every day we see it on the news. Prices go up. People protest. Big countries make big decisions. But not everyone agrees. For many years, the world followed one path. America was the leader. Europe was strong too. They made the rules for trade, money, and politics. They called it the Western Order. And for a time, most countries followed. But not all were happy. In the shadows, something was growing. Some countries felt small. They were tired of watching, while others decided everything. They wanted power, too. They wanted to change the system. Then, something happened. In 2006, 5 countries came together. They were Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They had one goal: let's build a new world together. They called themselves BRICS. At first, people laughed. What can they do? Said the West. They're too different, too poor, too far apart. But BRICS didn't stop. They met, they talked, they shared ideas, they made plans. Slowly, their voices became louder. The world began to listen. Let's look closer. Brazil, the giant of South America, full of natural resources, full of dreams, but also full of poverty. Brazil wanted fairness in trade and money. Russia, cold, vast, and full of energy. It had power and wanted respect. Russia believed the West treated it unfairly. India, young, busy, and rising fast. With over 1 billion people, it had a future full of strength. India asked, why do others speak for us? China, the factory of the world. Rich, strong, and proud. China said, it's time we lead too. South Africa, the heart of a continent. It stood for Africa's voice, long ignored. Each country was different. Different languages, different governments, different histories. But they shared one feeling. The world is not fair. Then came the financial crisis in 2008. Banks in the West failed. Millions lost their jobs. People everywhere were angry and afraid. It was a moment of truth. BRICS looked at the West and said, your system is broken. Ours will be different. They started small. They made deals with each other. No dollars, no euros. They built their own bank, the New Development Bank. They helped each other grow. Still, the West did not take them seriously. But BRICS kept growing. China became the world's second largest economy. India became a tech giant. Russia supplied energy to many nations. Brazil fed the world with its food, and South Africa opened doors to Africa. People began asking, is BRICS just a group, or is it a movement? In 2020, the world changed again. A global pandemic, borders closed, economies stopped. Rich countries saved themselves first. poorer nations were left behind. Vaccines, help, money, they came late. This made BRICS louder. They said, "We need a new world system, one that is fair for everyone." By 2023, more countries wanted to join BRICS: Argentina, Egypt, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and more. Why? Because they saw a new power rising, a power not from one place, but from many, from the global south, from voices that were once ignored. Today, the world feels divided. West versus East, rich versus poor, old powers versus new voices. And in the middle of this stands BRICS, still young, still changing, but stronger than ever before. So the question is, can BRICS change the world? Or will the world try to stop them? The story is just beginning. Chapter 2. What is BRICS? In the early 2000s, the world looked very different. The United States was strong. Europe was rich. The West was in control. But in other parts of the world, big changes were coming. In 2001, a man named Jim O'Neill from a big American bank looked at some numbers. He saw something surprising. Some countries were growing, fast. He called them the BRIC countries: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. He said, "One day these countries will be powerful, maybe even more powerful than the West." At that time, people didn't believe him. They thought these countries were too poor, too weak, too different. But the idea was born, and these countries were listening. In 2006, something big happened. Brazil, Russia, India, and China came together for a meeting. They talked about the world. They talked about power. They asked a big question. Why do others make the rules while we follow? And so they made a promise, a simple one. Let's work together. They called their group BRIC. In 2010, they invited South Africa to join. South Africa said yes. Now they were 5, and their name changed to BRICS. Each letter stood for one country: B for Brazil, R for Russia, I for India, C for China, S for South Africa. 5 nations, one voice. So, what is BRICS? BRICS is not a club. It is not a treaty. It is not a military group. It is something new, something powerful, something different. BRICS is a partnership between countries that want a new kind of world, a world with more fairness, more respect, more balance. They do not agree on everything. They have different systems. China is communist. India is democratic. Russia has a strong president. Brazil and South Africa are republics, but they share one dream: a world that listens to more voices, not just the West. Let's meet the BRICS nations. Brazil is the largest country in South America. It has oil, gold, and forests. It is a leader in farming and energy. But Brazil wants more power in global decisions. It says, "We are more than a supplier. We are a leader too." Russia is rich in gas and oil. It controls the largest land on Earth. It has history and ambition. Russia says, "We will not follow the West. We have our own path." India is young and full of talent. Its economy is growing fast. It is a land of technology and ideas. India says, "We want a future where we are not just workers, but world leaders." China has the world's biggest population. It is the second largest economy and growing stronger every year. China says, "We were once poor, but now we rise." South Africa is the gateway to a whole continent. It is rich in minerals and history. It speaks for Africa, a continent full of promise. South Africa says, "Africa's time is now." BRICS is more than just a name. It is a message, a symbol, a challenge to the old system. In the past, decisions were made by groups like the G7, the richest Western countries. But BRICS asked, "Why are we not at the table?" They wanted a seat, and if the West wouldn't give them one, they would build their own table. So they began to act. They created the New Development Bank in 2014, a bank to help each other grow. They started to trade without using dollars. They held yearly meetings and invited other countries to listen. Slowly, the world began to see. BRICS was not just a dream. It was becoming real. But it's not easy. These countries are not the same. They fight sometimes. They have different goals. China and India do not always agree. Russia and the West are in conflict. Brazil and South Africa have political troubles. Still, BRICS survives. Because the idea is bigger than the problems. The idea of a new world. A world with many leaders, not just one. Today, more countries want to join BRICS. They say, "We believe in this idea too." So, the question grows louder. Can BRICS really change the world? Or will old powers stop them? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. BRICS is not just 5 letters. It is a sign of something new. Chapter 3. The Rise of the Five. 5 countries, 5 different paths, but one dream: to rise without Western control. This is the rise of BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Let's begin their stories. Brazil, a land of forests, football, and festivals, but behind the music was struggle. Brazil is the biggest country in South America. It has gold, oil, food, water. It feeds the world. But for years, Brazil stayed poor. Corruption hurt its people. Foreign companies took resources and profits. Brazil said, "We want to grow, but on our own terms." So it joined BRICS. It wanted better trade, more respect, and a bigger voice. Today, Brazil is still rising. It exports meat, coffee, sugar, and more. It's rich in culture and nature, and it is ready to lead. Russia. Once, it was part of the Soviet Union. Then the Cold War ended, and Russia lost power. The West promised friendship, but instead came pressure. NATO moved closer. The US made rules. Russia said, "Enough." With oil and gas, Russia found new power. It became one of the top energy sellers in the world. Europe needed Russian gas. but didn't want Russian politics. Russia wanted respect and control. So it joined BRICS. It said, "We don't need the West. We can build our own group." Today, Russia is a strong voice in BRICS, but its war in Ukraine has made things difficult. Still, it stays in the group, pushing for a new world system. India, a country of colors, spices, and stories. With over 1.4 billion people, India is full of energy. It is the world's largest democracy and one of the fastest growing economies. For many years, India was under British rule. It won independence, but paid a heavy price. Now it wants to rise and never be controlled again. India is strong in tech, space, and medicine. It exports software and builds satellites. Its young people dream big. But India also faces challenges: poverty, pollution, and border tensions, especially with China. Still, India joined BRICS. It said, "We want a seat at the table, not as a follower, but as a leader." China, a sleeping dragon, now awake. In 1978, China opened its economy. Factories grew, cities expanded, the world was shocked. In just 40 years, China became the second largest economy. From bicycles to bullet trains, from rice farms to robots, China changed everything. But the West still had control over money, trade, and power. China said, "Why follow the West when we can build our own future?" So it joined BRICS. But China didn't just join, it led. China builds roads and ports in Asia, Africa, and beyond. It lends money, builds cities, sells everything. Some say it's creating a new empire. Others say it's giving poor countries a chance. One thing is sure: China is central to BRICS, and it wants a world with many powers, not just one. South Africa, a voice from a continent long ignored. For centuries, Africa gave gold, diamonds, and labor, but stayed poor. South Africa said, "No more." After ending apartheid, a system of racial control, the country began a new chapter. It joined BRICS in 2010. South Africa doesn't have the size of China or the oil of Russia, but it has something else: the voice of Africa. It speaks for a continent of 1.4 billion people. It says, "Africa wants trade, not charity. Partnership, not control." And BRICS listens. So now, these 5 countries stand together. Different languages, different cultures, different beliefs. But one idea holds them all. We rise together. But it wasn't easy. They had to face many problems. Sometimes they disagreed. Russia and India didn't always trust China. Brazil had its own political troubles. South Africa changed presidents often. And the West? The West watched, worried. Because BRICS was growing. It made its own bank, the New Development Bank. It traded in local money, not just dollars. It spoke at the United Nations, louder, stronger. The West asked, "Can these 5 really change the system?" And BRICS replied, "Watch us." Now, more countries want to join. Iran, Argentina, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. BRICS is no longer just 5. It's becoming a movement, a new voice for the global South. So, what's next? Will BRICS stay united? Will it grow stronger? Will it challenge the West? One thing is clear: the 5 are rising, and the world is watching. Chapter 4. Why BRICS matters. Why does BRICS matter? It's a good question, and the answer is big. BRICS is not just 5 countries. It is almost half the world's population. More than 3 billion people live in BRICS nations. That's almost 1 in every 2 people on Earth. Let that sink in. But it's not only people. BRICS has something else, something powerful: resources. Oil, gas, coal, gold, food, water. These are the things the world needs to survive and grow. Let's take a closer look. Russia has gas and oil. It sells energy to Europe and Asia. Brazil grows food, meat, coffee, sugar, and soy. China makes everything, from toys to phones to trains. India is rich in medicine, software, and skilled workers. South Africa has gold, diamonds, and minerals. Together, BRICS has the power to feed, heat, build, and move the world. That's why BRICS matters. But there's more. BRICS also matters because of money. For many years, most of the world used the US dollar for trade. Countries needed dollars to buy oil, to pay debt, to do business. The US controlled that system. It could block countries. It could punish them with sanctions. It had the power. But BRICS asked, why should one country control the money of the world? So they made a plan. Trade in local currencies. Use the yuan, the rupee, the real, not only the dollar. This would give them freedom. And then they made something even bigger. In 2014, BRICS created the New Development Bank. It's like the World Bank, but different. The World Bank is led by the West. The BRICS Bank is led by them. The goal? To help countries grow without control. To build roads, bridges, schools, hospitals without pushing politics. The first head of the BRICS Bank? A woman from India. That's a message. BRICS wants change. Now, other countries are taking loans from this bank. Not just BRICS members. The world is paying attention. But it's not only about money or resources. BRICS also matters because of ideas. The West had its own ideas about democracy, capitalism, and leadership. But BRICS says there is more than one way to lead. China believes in strong government. India believes in open elections. Russia believes in order and pride. Brazil believes in balance. South Africa believes in healing history. These are different paths. But BRICS says, that's okay. What matters is respect, growth, and fairness. This is why many countries are interested in BRICS, because it allows different voices, different styles, different dreams. Let's look at the numbers. BRICS controls over 40% of the world's population, around 30% of the world's land, about 25% of global GDP, the money a country makes, and more than 15% of world trade. And now, it's growing. In 2023, new countries joined or applied: Argentina, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Why? Because they see BRICS as hope, a new system, a new voice. The West is watching closely. The G7, the IMF, the World Bank, they all feel the pressure. Some leaders say BRICS is a challenge. Others say it is a threat. But BRICS says, we are not against you. We just want balance. It's not East versus West. It's not rich versus poor. It's about building a multipolar world with many powers, not just one. That's a big idea. And it's why BRICS matters. But the journey is not easy. There are problems inside BRICS. China and India have border tensions. Russia is in conflict with the West. Brazil and South Africa change leaders often. So people ask, can BRICS stay united? Can it really lead the world? These are hard questions, but one thing is clear. BRICS is no longer just an idea. It is not just a dream or a name. It is power. It is growth. It is the voice of billions. And in a world full of change, BRICS matters more than ever. Chapter 5. The Battle Against the Dollar. The US dollar is everywhere. It is the money used for oil, gas, gold, and trade. It is the money many banks hold. It is the money people trust. For more than 70 years, the dollar has ruled the world economy. Why? Because after World War II, the US became the world's richest country. It helped rebuild Europe. It led the creation of the IMF, the World Bank, and the United Nations. And with these institutions came power. The US said, use the dollar, it's safe. And many countries agreed. Today, around 85% of world trade uses dollars. Countries pay debts in dollars. They buy goods in dollars. Even if two countries are not American, they often trade using dollars. But now, something is changing. BRICS is asking a powerful question. Why should we depend on their money? They say, we are rich in oil, gas, and gold. We have our own banks. We have billions of people. So why use the dollar? This is not just about money. It's about power. Because if you control money, you control decisions. And the US uses that power. Let's look at some examples. If a country disagrees with US policy, it can be punished. The US can freeze that country's money. It can block trade by stopping dollar payments. It can use something called sanctions, financial rules that hurt the country's economy. It happened to Iran. It happened to Russia. It could happen to others. BRICS saw this and said, this is not fair. This is dangerous. So now, they are fighting back. Not with guns, but with currencies. In 2014, BRICS created the new development bank. This bank helps countries borrow money without using dollars. It gives loans in local currencies. It says, "We don't want to control you. We want to support you." Then, BRICS members started making bilateral agreements, deals between two countries to trade in their own money. For example, China and Russia started trading in yuan and rubles. India and the UAE signed a deal to use rupees and dirhams. Brazil and China agreed to use their own currencies. Little by little, the dollar's power is being tested. But this fight is not easy. The dollar is still trusted. It is stable. It is used in international banks, contracts, and airports. Some countries say, "We want to leave the dollar, but we are not ready yet." So BRICS has a plan. They are talking about a common currency, a new digital money used only for trade between BRICS countries. Imagine this: BRICS coin. Not owned by the US, not linked to the euro or the yen. A new kind of money made for a new kind of world. This idea is still growing. It is not real yet, but the message is loud. We want independence. Let's hear what leaders are saying. Russian President Putin said, "The dollar is being used as a weapon. We need another system." Brazil's President Lula said, "Why should every country be tied to the dollar? Who decided that?" China is leading the move. It is using the digital yuan in trade. It wants to replace the dollar in Africa, Asia, and South America. India is more careful. It still uses dollars, but also wants local trade to grow. South Africa supports the idea too. It says, "Let us build a fairer financial future." The West is watching. Some say BRICS can't do it. They say, "The dollar is too strong. BRICS countries are too different. They will fight and fail." But others are worried. They see more countries joining BRICS. More deals using other currencies, more pressure on the dollar, and they ask, what if BRICS succeeds? This is the heart of the battle. It's not just about money. It's about freedom, about power, about the right to choose. BRICS is saying, we don't want to be controlled. We want to trade. We want to grow, but on our own terms. And that is a big deal. So, what comes next? Will BRICS create a new currency? Will the dollar lose its crown? Will other countries follow? No one knows for sure. But one thing is clear. The battle has begun, and BRICS is not backing down. Chapter 6. New Members, New Power. Something big is happening. BRICS is growing. At first, it was just 5 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. But now, others want to join. And one by one, they are knocking on the door. In 2023, BRICS made a bold move. It invited 6 new countries to become members: the world was surprised. The new names were Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Iran, Argentina, and Ethiopia. 6 new voices, 6 new powers, each with its own story and its own reason for joining BRICS. Let's meet them. Egypt, one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, a bridge between Africa and the Middle East. Egypt controls the Suez Canal, one of the world's most important trade routes. Every day, ships pass through, carrying oil, gas, and goods. But Egypt has deep economic problems. Debt, inflation, unemployment. It wants new partners, new trade, and less control from the West. BRICS is a chance for that. Saudi Arabia, the world's oil king. It controls massive energy resources. For years, Saudi oil was sold in US dollars, something called the petrodollar system. But now, Saudi Arabia is changing. It's building a modern future, new cities, new projects, new ideas, and it wants more freedom in choosing its partners. Joining BRICS sends a message. We are not just tied to the West. We can choose our own path. The UAE, a small country, but rich and smart. It has oil, yes, but also airports, ports, banks, and technology. Dubai is a global hub. Abu Dhabi invests around the world. The UAE joining BRICS is like adding a powerful engine to a car. It moves fast and connects many parts of the world. Iran, a country full of history and problems. For years, Iran has been under U.S. sanctions. It has been blocked from many banks and trade systems, but it has oil, it has gas, and it has a strong will. Iran wants to break the wall, to trade freely again. BRICS could open that door. Argentina. In South America, Argentina has faced many crises. Its economy is unstable. Inflation is high. Debt is heavy. But Argentina also has land, food, and people full of hope. It wants to join BRICS to escape the rules of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to find help and to find a voice. Ethiopia, a symbol of Africa's rising future. It is one of the fastest growing economies on the continent. It has people, energy, and ambition. But it also faces conflict and poverty. Joining BRICS gives it support and a seat at the global table. With these new members, BRICS becomes something new. Not just a group of 5, but a global force. Together, these 11 countries control over 40% of the world's oil production, more than 45% of the world's population, a large part of food, gas, and mineral exports. This means more influence and more attention. But it's not just numbers. It's about ideas. Each new country brings something different. Different religions, different governments, different economies. And still, they sit together. Why? Because they all want the same thing. A new world system. One that is fair. One that is open. One that is not controlled by just a few Western powers. They want to trade in their own money. They want to make decisions together. They want a voice that is heard, not ignored. Of course, there are challenges. More members mean more opinions, more voices mean more disagreements. Some countries don't trust each other. Some have different friends and different enemies. But BRICS is learning. It is not a perfect union. It is a living alliance, changing, growing, adapting, and with each new member, it gets stronger. So the world is asking, what will BRICS become? Will it create a new currency? Will it replace the G7? Will more countries join? Already, Indonesia, Mexico, Nigeria, and Turkey have shown interest. BRICS is becoming a door for the global South, a door that says, you are welcome. Let's build something new, together. So, why does this matter? Because change is coming. The world is shifting, and BRICS is at the center of it. The old system is shaking. The new one is rising. And it's louder now, because more voices have joined the song. Chapter 7. The BRICS Bank. In the old system, there were two big banks, the World Bank and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. They were strong. They gave loans to countries in need. They helped, but also controlled. Poor countries took money, but had to follow strict rules. Cut your spending. Raise your taxes. Open your markets. And if they didn't follow, no money, no help. Many people felt this was unfair. So BRICS made a decision. They said, let's build our own bank. In 2014, in the city of Fortaleza, Brazil, a new dream was born. The 5 BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, signed a deal. They called it the New Development Bank, or NDB. The goal? To help developing countries, to give loans without control, to build a better future with respect. It was big. It was bold. It was different. The NDB is based in Shanghai, China. But it is not a Chinese bank. Each BRICS country gives equal money. Each country has equal power. No one dominates. No one controls the others. That was important, because this bank is about fairness. The NDB helps countries build things. Roads, hospitals, schools, power plants, clean water systems. Not just ideas, real things. Things people can touch and use. The loans come with low interest and fewer conditions. No more. Cut your jobs. No more. Sell your land. No more. Change your laws. Instead, the message is simple. We believe in your growth. The first president of the NDB was from India, a woman named K.V. Kamath. It was a historic moment. It showed the world that BRICS was serious and inclusive. Soon, the bank started giving money. To Brazil, to improve roads, to South Africa, to build clean energy, to India, to support rural development, to Russia, for infrastructure, to China, for green technology. It wasn't just for BRICS countries. Other nations could borrow too. Bangladesh, Egypt, Uruguay. All found support in the NDB. And more countries are applying. The NDB also did something special. It gave loans in local currencies. Why is that important? Because most banks lend in US dollars, and when a country's money loses value, the debt becomes harder to pay. This traps countries in poverty. But if the loan is in their own money, it's easier, it's safer, it's fairer. The BRICS Bank understood that. It said, money should help, not hurt. The West saw this and was surprised. Some called it a challenge. Others called it a threat. But for many countries in the global South, it was a light of hope. They said, at last, a bank that listens. At last, a bank that trusts us. This was not just about money. It was about freedom. But the road is not easy. The NDB is still small compared to the World Bank or the IMF. It needs more money, more staff, more reach. Also, the world is full of crises. War, inflation, debt, climate change. Can one bank do it all? Maybe not. But BRICS believes in starting. One loan at a time. One project at a time. One voice at a time. In 2023, the NDB got a new leader, Dilma Rousseff, the former president of Brazil. She brought experience and passion. She said, "This bank is for the global South. It is for development, not domination." Now, the NDB is planning new tools: green bonds, digital finance, climate action funds. It's not just a bank. It's a movement. So, why does the BRICS Bank matter? Because it says, we trust you. We want to grow with you. You don't need to follow the old rules to succeed. It is a symbol, a seed, a promise. And in a world where money often divides, this bank is trying to unite. Chapter 8: BRICS and the Global South. The world has rich countries and poor ones, powerful voices and silent ones. For many years, the West led the world. It made the rules, it gave the money, it took the lead. But what about the rest? What about the Global South? The Global South includes most of Africa, Asia, South America, and the Middle East. These countries have resources, people, and history. They gave the world food, oil, gold, workers, and ideas. But still, they were treated like they were less modern, less important, less powerful. They were often told what to do, not asked what they needed. For years, the Global South followed Western systems. They took loans from the World Bank and IMF. They traded in US dollars. They opened markets, cut jobs, sold land, because they had no other choice. Sometimes the help worked, but many times it brought more debt and more control. The leaders of the Global South started to ask, is there another way? And BRICS answered, yes. BRICS said, you don't have to follow old rules. You don't need to be told what to do. You are not weak, you are rising. You are not forgotten, you are the future. This message was strong, and many countries began to listen. Why does BRICS connect with the global South because it knows the struggle. Brazil was once a colony. India was ruled by the British. China was called poor and backward. South Africa suffered under apartheid. Russia changed after the fall of the Soviet Union. Each BRICS country knows pain. Each one has fought to grow. So when BRICS says, "We understand you," the global South believes it. And it's not just words. BRICS is giving real support. The new development bank gives loans without painful conditions. BRICS promotes trade in local currencies, not just US dollars. BRICS supports infrastructure projects, roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals. BRICS listens to different voices, different styles of government, culture, and religion. There is no one way in BRICS. There is room for many ways. Let's look at some examples. Ethiopia is part of BRICS now. It is growing fast, but still needs support. BRICS gives loans to build clean energy and new railways. Argentina wants to leave the control of the IMF. It sees BRICS as a way to grow with freedom. Iran has been blocked by Western sanctions, but BRICS gives it a door to global trade again. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE see BRICS as a new space, a space where they don't have to choose sides, a space where they can grow on their own terms. For the global South, BRICS is not just about money, it's about dignity. It says, you matter. You don't need permission to grow. You can build your own future. And that changes everything. The West is beginning to see the shift. They see Africa doing business with China. They see Asia trading in yuan and rupees. They see Latin America looking east, not just north. And they are worried because BRICS is not just a club. It's a magnet for all the countries that felt small, felt ignored, felt left out. Now, those countries have a choice. They don't need to follow old powers. They can choose BRICS. But this future is not guaranteed. BRICS must keep its promise. It must not become a new empire. It must not use its power to control others. It must stay open, fair, and balanced. If it does, then yes. BRICS can become the true voice of the global South, the voice of hope, the voice of change. So, can BRICS lead a new world? A world where Africa, Asia, and Latin America are respected. A world with more balance, more voices, more freedom. That is the dream. And it is possible. Because the global South is not weak, it is waking up. And BRICS is holding the microphone. Chapter 9. Will BRICS change the world? For many years, one system ruled the world. The United States led, Europe followed, others watched. This system had strong banks, powerful armies, and control over money and trade. But now, something is changing. BRICS is rising. It has resources, it has people, it has ambition, and more than anything, It has a dream. A dream to build a new system. A system where more countries have power, where decisions are made together, not by just a few. But can BRICS really do it? Can it change the global order? Let's take a closer look. BRICS already controls over 40% of the world's population, about 30% of the world's land, around 25% of the global economy. It trades oil, food, gas, gold, and machines. It builds roads and cities across the global south. It gives loans through its new development bank. It supports using local currencies, not just US dollars. In just a few years, BRICS has become something serious. It is no longer just a meeting. It is a movement. But change is never easy. There are problems. Big ones. The 5 original BRICS countries are very different. China and India have border disputes. Russia is in conflict with the West. Brazil and South Africa face political instability. Some countries want fast change. Others want to wait. And now, with new members like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Egypt, there are even more voices, more opinions, and more challenges. So people ask, can BRICS really stay together? The answer is not simple. BRICS is not like the European Union. There is no shared parliament, no shared currency, no shared army. It is a loose group, a flexible partnership. That makes it open, but also fragile. Still, the members agree on one big thing. We want a world that is fairer. And that idea is powerful. Many countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America support BRICS. They say, for years, the West ignored us. They gave loans, but told us how to live. They said they brought democracy, but brought debt. Now, they see BRICS as something new. A chance to speak, a chance to grow, a chance to be respected. This is why more countries are asking to join. Indonesia, Nigeria, Venezuela, Turkey. They want to be part of the change, but change brings fear too. The US and Europe are watching BRICS closely. They ask, will BRICS break our system? Will it create a new currency? Will it end the dollar's power? Some call BRICS a threat. Others say, it's just talk, but no one is ignoring it anymore. So what is the future? No one knows. The world is moving fast. War, climate change, technology, everything is shifting. And BRICS stands at the center of that change. It is not perfect. It is not always united, but it is growing. It is speaking, and it is being heard. So, will BRICS change the world? Maybe. Maybe not today. Maybe not next year. But the idea is planted. And ideas grow. In the past, the world had one center of power. Now, that power is spreading. From Beijing to Brasilia, from Cape Town to Cairo, from Moscow to Mumbai. BRICS is building a world with many voices, not one empire, not one leader, but a table where all can sit. That is the dream. Chapter 10. The future is multipolar. For a long time, the world had one main leader, the United States. It was the strongest economy. It had the most powerful army. It made the rules for trade, banks, and even wars. People called it the unipolar world. One pole, one center, one boss. But now, things are changing. BRICS is asking a different question. What if the world doesn't need just one leader? What if we all lead together? That idea is called a multipolar world. Multi means many. Polar means centers of power. A multipolar world has many leaders, many powers, many systems. And BRICS wants to help create that world. Why does it matter? Because in a unipolar world, decisions are made by a few countries, usually rich ones, usually in the West. But the world is much bigger than that. Africa has over 1 billion people. Asia has over 4 billion. Latin America is full of energy and history. These places want a voice too, not just to follow, but to lead. BRICS gives them that chance. It says, you don't have to copy the West. You can grow your own way. You can trade in your own money. You can choose your own partners. This message is powerful, and it is spreading. In a multipolar world, power is shared. No one country controls everything. There are different paths, not just one road. Maybe China leads in factories. Maybe India leads in technology. Maybe Brazil leads in food. Maybe Russia leads in energy. Maybe South Africa leads in building bridges across Africa. And together, they build something new. But the road to a multipolar world is not easy. There will be competition. There will be mistakes. There will be disagreements. And the old powers will not give up their seat easily. They will push back. They will say, BRICS is not ready. They are too different. They will break apart. But BRICS continues, slowly, step by step, because the dream is bigger than the fear. Let's imagine the future. A world where no one country is the boss. A world where Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East work together. A world where people choose what works for them, not what others force. In this world, trade is fair. Loans are helpful, not controlling. Nations speak with respect, not fear. That is the multipolar future. And BRICS is planting the seeds today. Already, we see signs of change. More countries are using local currencies. More leaders are calling for reform of the United Nations. More voices are saying, we want to be heard. The global South is rising, and BRICS is their microphone. But the future depends on choices. Will BRICS stay united? Will it grow with wisdom? Will it stay fair and not become just another empire? Because a better world is not just about more power. It's about how we use power. With balance, with justice, with care. So, will the future be multipolar? Maybe yes. Maybe number. But one thing is clear. The world is not going back. The time of one leader, one voice, is ending. A new chapter is starting, and BRICS is holding the pen. The end, or just the beginning? BRICS has changed the way we think about power, from one to many, from control to cooperation. Now the question is not if the world will change, but how fast.